back, relax, and maybe get yourself a snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hey guys, so I'm here today to review a book that I completely loved and I really want you guys to check out, and that is this one, A Time of Dread by John Gwynne. This is the first book in a new series by Gwynne. It's set in the same universe as his Faithful and the Fallen series, which is a 4-book series that starts off with a book called Malice. And this is the first one in his new series, which is Of Blood and Bone, but it does follow on from the events that are set in the Faithful and the Fallen books, so I will say if you don't mind being spoiled you can start with this, but if you do start with this one, be aware that you will get spoiled for quite a lot of events from the previous series, so it's not one that you can just jump into if you don't want spoilers. With that being said, this follows some of the descendants of characters that we met in the first quartet, and it definitely has some of the classic John Gwynne tropes that I really enjoy. John Gwynne is really good at kind of pulling on old fantasy ideas and bringing them into new light and new situations. He deals with a cast of angels and demons, which is obviously historically one of the most overused things ever, but he does it in a really cool way. And so we have the two races of the ElleKayEm, who are the angel-like characters, and the PaulCToF, who are the demon-like characters. And in this world, at the point where we're at, we have them both warring against one another quite frequently, but the PaulCToF have been almost wiped out and they are kind of suppressed under the rulership of the ElleKayEm, who also coincidentally are kind of in charge of everyone in the world, including humans, who we follow quite a few of. So that is the kind of status of the world as we pick it up. The PaulCToF are in hiding. They are definitely very reduced from what they used to be, or at least that's what the ElleKayEm think. They don't actually know that in the shadows and darkness the PaulCToF are gathering, and they are starting to do some nefarious deeds that will probably bring them back into the light quite soon in a very shocking and exciting way. They have big plans to bring back their god and hopefully reunite everyone together in terror, because they are going to be returning, or at least that's the plan. So we follow quite a few different characters who each sort of focus on different parts of the world, and some of them meet at different times. Presumably some more of them will meet later on in the series. I'm not exactly certain how many books are planned in this one, but I'm really glad that there are definitely going to be a couple more at least. So because this is set a few generations after the ending of the Faithful and the Fallen series, we don't really see many characters crossing over except for the giants, because giants obviously have a hugely expanded lifespan on humans, and so some of them are actually returning characters from the first book, and we do see some of the animal characters also crossing over a little bit. So what I loved most about this book was the introduction of the new characters. They each felt very fresh and individual, and they've definitely all brought something new to the series and the story as well. Each of them is very likeable, they're really easy to connect to, and I think John Gwynne has a great way of drawing the reader into his story and making them just instantly fall for a character or just want to support that character and be behind them 100%. I definitely feel that way when I read his books. There are so many grey areas when it comes to characters, and you just can't help but like them even if they are bad sometimes, and I really enjoy that about his stuff. Some of the new characters that we actually follow included Drem and Olin, and Drem is a young man who is working with his father. His father is Olin, and they are trappers. They go out each spring and they trap for about 6 months before coming home to where they live and bringing back all the furs and things that they have managed to get over their time out trapping, and we follow their adventure as they are just starting to come back for the winter. And when they do come back, their village is completely different from what they expected it to be, and actually there is a looming threat on the horizon that is causing more and more foreigners and strangers to come to their land and to start stirring up quite a lot of trouble. What I loved about these two was the relationship between father and son. It is so incredibly well done in this book. It is genuine and raw and honest, and the father, Olin, is actually completely great at being a dad, which you very rarely see in fantasy. Usually they're dead or rubbish, but he's great as a father, and I loved seeing him and seeing Drem as he learned from his father and really listened and understood him. They have a really strong bond that was just wonderful to read about. The next character that we are introduced to is Riff, who is in training to become a White Wing. This is kind of one of the ElleKayEm human recruited elite guard, and her sister is already in the guard. Her mother before her was also really highly qualified, and so there is a lot of expectation on Riv's shoulders. She kind of has a lot to live up to. She feels quite daunted by the task and she's a bit worried about passing her tests, but she is determined and she's excited and it is her dream. I feel like Riv's story took me a little bit longer to connect to than Drem's, but I really did enjoy her story by the end, and there's some extremely exciting stuff that happens in the latter half of this book with her character, and that I certainly want to find out more about as the series goes on, because there were some really dramatic things that were revealed. Another character that we focus on is Sig, who is a returning character, and she is a giantess. I feel like Sig's insight into the other parts of the camp, including some of the descendants of the original characters and the original plot, was really useful to give a bit more background into the political landscape and a little bit of background into what's been happening since the ending of the previous series. I really liked her as a character. She's very genuine and honest, and she also cares an awful lot about her family and those who are precious to her, and I think she's just someone that I could definitely relate to and get behind as a character. She's very sincere. We also get to see a couple of encounters with the Kadoshim from her point of view, and she's pretty badass as well, so that's also pretty cool. Overall, this book is dark. People definitely die. The stakes are really high. We're fighting for the world, not just for a stake in it. I certainly feel like Gwyn has managed to once again raise the bar when it comes to writing fantasy. He just does it so well, and I'm constantly surprised just by how much I like the book, because it always starts off feeling quite classic, and yet I'm always surprised by the twists and the turns that he throws in that I'm just not expecting. So I really like this. I definitely would recommend this, and I think it's just a wonderful start to a new series that I'm now very excited for to continue with. So I ended up giving this a really strong 4.5. I definitely can't wait to read the rest, and I would love to hear your thoughts if you've read this or the previous series. What did you think? Are you going to be picking this one up too? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon in my next video. Bye guys!
Thank you for watching my video today. Go pick up a book, then come back and chat with me again.